Most people think Amazon FBA is this slow, grinded out game. But if you know the right roadmap, you can go from 0 to 10K a month or even to 100K a month, all in under 6 months. My name's Luke with Only AMZ Accelerator, and I've taken my business to over $3 million in revenue every single year with Amazon FBA. And in this video, I'm breaking down what to expect in your first 6 months of starting Amazon and what I'd do to scale fast if I was starting Amazon today. Whether you're brand new or already selling, this is your blueprint. So stick with me, take notes, and let's get going. All right, guys. So right here we have our whiteboard, and basically what I'm going to do is break down month by month on what Amazon FBA looks like for starting all the way up to 6 months. Now it's going to include scaling and everything you need to do, basically a rough outline so you know exactly what steps you have to take in order to get to the next one. So let's go ahead and get right into it. So for starters, we're going to start with month 1. So we have month 1. What exactly does this look like? So month 1 includes of our setup and a lot of research and development. So this is going to include setting up Seller Central account. This is also going to include getting your tools, software, supplies. So this is your boxes, your tape, your labels to start stickering products, downloading Keepa, SellerAmp, making sure you're all set up before you get into your product research. Because once we find a good product, we want to execute immediately. So everything on the back end is going to be set up. This is setting up your account, getting your tools, software, and supplies. You don't need an LLC to set up your account. You can register as a sole proprietorship and you can just get moving forward that way. For money, I highly recommend at least 3 to 5K to start. So 3 to 5K startup capital. So 3 to 5K is great because we're going to aim to make about a 30% ROI average. Now, the more money you start with is going to be better because it's going to streamline the whole entire experience. You're going to be able to get ungated faster, apply for more ungates, build a bigger catalog, and just make more money. Now, if you don't have 3 to 5K, I highly recommend either getting a job, saving up some money on the side, or do another side hustle until you can get 3 to 5K. Otherwise, Amazon's going to feel very counterproductive and not rewarding. It's going to be a very slow grind if you don't have at least $3,000. Now, all these steps right here should only take you about a day, not even. It takes a couple hours to set up your Amazon account and get all your supplies ordered. So what's after that? We really need to learn how to use our tools efficiently. So this is going to be Keepa and SellerAmp Mastery. Okay, so what this looks like is watching videos on these tools, figuring out how to use them. You need to put in all your fees properly. You really need to learn how to understand a Keepa chart, understand all the data in Keepa because that program has a lot to offer. Keepa is the sole software that is going to drive all of your buying decisions. SellerAmp is just mainly used to calculate profits, view our competition, and just be a little bit easier on the eye. Keepa is our in-depth technical analysis for the data on the market. It tells you the price history, how many units people have sold, everything you need to know to make a proper buying decision. If you learn how to master Keepa, you will never make a bad buying decision that is in your control. We basically want to become a master at every controllable variable there is to offer. Now, once you understand how to use Keepa and SellerAmp properly, we can move into sourcing, which is the bread and butter of the business. So we have product sourcing. So for product sourcing, you're probably going to learn a couple methods. Now, the best method for beginners is definitely reverse sourcing. So reverse sourcing is basically when you open up another seller's storefront, you look through their storefront and see exactly what they're selling. So what this would mean, if they're selling a water gun during the summer, you'd go to the water gun in their inventory after you found it, search it up on Google, and see if you can find it profitably from an online retailer. This method of sourcing works very well, especially for beginners, because a lot of beginners do this. It's not very intense of a sourcing method, and it gets your eyes on a lot of brands that you may not have seen before. This will help you later down the line when you start doing manual sourcing. Now, reverse sourcing will get you anywhere from 20 to 50K a month. It's always a good method to use and always have fresh eyes on the market. Now, the only downside to this is these sellers may have had these items in their storefront for up to over 2 weeks, and you might be a little late to the party of making money. So that's why this isn't the best sourcing method, but is the best way to get started making money right away. You could definitely make money within your first 30 days just by doing reverse sourcing. Now, the other method I mentioned is manual sourcing. I wouldn't focus too heavily on manual sourcing because it's a more advanced technique, but I would start to learn it and start applying it where you can. So basically what manual sourcing is you're not going through other seller storefronts. You're going directly to these websites like Dick's Sporting Goods, Target, Walmart, Best Buy, Vitacost, and you're manually scanning their catalogs yourself, searching for these good deals and cross-checking that website with Amazon. Then if it's profitable, you can make your buy. Now, don't expect to be an expert at Keepa, SellerAmp, and sourcing in month one. You are just building the foundation in order to get this going at a faster pace. Mind you, this is not something easy. It is not going to be something you learn overnight or even in a month. I've been doing this for over 2 years and I'm still consistently refining my sourcing strategy and getting better at this every single day. Now, what I recommend for beginners is to spend between 4 and 6 hours a day on sourcing if you have the time. Now, if you're still working a job or doing another side hustle, try to fit at least 20 hours a week into product sourcing. Now, mind you, it may take a little slower to get the desired results, but the more time you put into this, the more you're going to get out of it. So we'll scroll down a little bit and we're still under month one. So after this, you're sourcing, you're going to make purchases. So product purchases, and then you will ship these into Amazon and they will handle the rest. Now, you may not even get a shipment in during your first 30 days, and that's totally okay. The main focus on this month is really doing a lot of research and development, learning Keepa, SellerAmp, and refining your sourcing techniques so that we can snowball into the later months. Okay, so over here we have months 2 and 3. Now, there's not a whole lot to add from month 1 into months 2 and 3. Months 2 and 3 are still going to fall heavily under the educational period. You're still going to be learning Keepa. You're probably not going to be learning SellerAmp because that's very straightforward and a simple tool, but you're really going to be refining your sourcing techniques. Like I said, the bread and butter of an Amazon FBA business is products on the ground. You need products to make money. So we're going to continue to reverse source like we have over here and really start manual sourcing more. And what we're going to do is start tracking some data. So what does this mean? We're going to storefront stalk. This means we are saving profitable sellers' storefronts so we can go back and look at them after we've already found a profitable product in their inventory. So when you're reverse sourcing, you come across the profitable product, you know the seller's online arbitrage, we can save their storefront in a Google Doc so we can go back to it and we don't always have to look for that same person's storefront, and you'll be able to look and see whenever they add a new product to their store. This is going to help you stay a little bit ahead of the game, but not perfect yet. So this is going to be storefront stalking and perfecting sourcing. Now, the only way to get good at sourcing is by doing it. Watching videos is not going to get you good at sourcing. Taking a ton of notes isn't going to get you good at sourcing. You need to be in the trenches, actually putting work in sourcing. Now, what I also highly recommend within these 2 to 3 months is joining a network. So the reason I say this is because this is exactly what streamlined my Amazon FBA experience, is getting to meet a ton of new sellers that were around my experience level and seeing what issues they were facing, seeing what was getting easier, bouncing ideas off of each other so we could get some help. And we didn't have to Google answers, go on Reddit, go on YouTube and try to look for the same videos that we've already watched. I want to speak to people with real experiences in real time. Now, where can you find these networks? You can go on Discord, on Facebook, on YouTube. They're literally everywhere. TikTok is also a great place. Just start talking to other sellers. This isn't really a journey you want to do alone. You're going to run into a ton of issues along the way, but that's okay. You're supposed to. But a lot of people have already went through these mistakes or these problems, and someone can definitely help you out rather than having to spend all day digging for the solution to your problems. Now, we're probably going to get a little more in-depth with sourcing, so I keep harping on Keepa. Keepa Product Finder is going to be your #1 best friend. If you learn how to use Keepa Product Finder, now this is on their website, the Product Finder button with all those crazy filters, you're going to be insane at sourcing. So we're probably going to start playing with that a little as well during months 2 and 3. Just refining every possible sourcing technique and adding to our arsenal so we can become efficient at finding products for our business. So Keepa Product Finder. Now, months 2 and 3, you're going to start coming across a lot of products as you're doing this. So what does this mean? We're going to have to go through the ungating process. The ungating process is submitting invoices to get approved to sell these brands on Amazon. So if I wanted to sell Bounty paper towels on Amazon, I'm probably not going to be approved, but I can hit apply to ungate and it's going to tell me how many units I'll need, and I can grab that invoice from an authorized distributor, submit my invoice to get approved for these brands. Now, ungating can can take between 3 to 5 days per brand because you need to place your order, you need to wait till it ships, wait till it delivers, and then submit your invoice into Amazon. This is a very time-consuming process, so we need to continue finding more brands that we can stack on to keep getting ungated so we can have a wide variety of products in our catalog. So honestly, what I would do is find a profitable online arbitrage brand that you come across of quite frequently, get the ungate for that going, and then move on, find the next brand, and repeat the process. You should always have a couple ungates going at all times so we can keep on expanding. You don't want to slow this process down, just keep on ungating so we can build out our catalogs. So we'll go ahead and put this right here. We'll put ungating. Now, sorry for the mess. This is all over the place, but that's okay. So we'll keep moving over here. All right, after ungating, you're probably going to get your products on the ground, and then we can go back and ship these in after we're approved to sell them. Now, I do want to bounce back a little. On month 1, I said shipping products to Amazon, and I completely overlooked that this is going to include learning how to prep your products. There are certain things you need to do under the prep guidelines for each product. So what this means is if you have a 2-pack, do you know how to prep a 2-pack compared to a 1-pack? Do you know how to prep a glass item? There's all kinds of stuff like that. For example, a 2-pack would require a poly bag. Sometimes you have to blank out the barcodes and replace it with your Amazon barcode. That's if it's a 2-pack. If it's a 1-pack, you can just FNSKU right over the barcode. Really learn the prep process, how to make efficient boxes. Learn the prep guidelines. How heavy can your box be? It can only be 50 pounds. What is the biggest box size you can use? 25 by 25 by 36. Learn these guidelines and learn how much on average it's costing you to ship. Start tracking that data. So we'll put FBA, prep, and shipping. Now that's not very time consuming. It's very easy to learn. We're still focusing on product research and learning to source. This is the biggest thing in your entire business. That's why I keep saying it over and over and over again. And I'm probably going to say it again because that's how important it is. You need to become a master at this. The biggest pain point in your business should not be product research. So there are much bigger things to worry about. We need to knock this out right away. Now I kind of want to add something in between months 1 and 3. So when you're sourcing these products, we need to learn how to find discounts. So what does this include? This means getting your plugins such as Rakuten for cashback, Cardbear for discounted gift cards, plugins like Keepa or Capital One Shopping to help you find those discount codes. Basically what this is margin stacking. You're taking a product that's 20 bucks maybe on sale and you go and find a 5% gift card and then it's 3% cash back on top. That just added 8% back into your net margins. So once you figure out how to do that, it'll start making sourcing even easier because you're coming across these products, getting the price down even farther than they are online, which other people don't really realize. Now, there's something I also want to touch on with ungating. So with ungating, you're going to come across being ungated in almost every single brand, and it's going to feel extremely frustrating during your early months. So this is because of your account health, and I'm going to branch this out down over here. So we have account health. This is basically your score on Amazon, and you start off at 200 and Amazon will basically say, hey, your account's in good standing or you broke a policy, we gave you a hit here. So with account health, it's basically how much trust Amazon has in you. So as a new seller, Amazon doesn't know who you are, what you do, and what are your intentions. So we need to prove ourselves to Amazon. Now, the more we can prove ourselves to Amazon, the easier it is you will get ungated in things. Now, this will start opening your account up to getting auto ungated. What this is when you go to apply to ungate, you will not need to submit an invoice. So even if we're not finding a ton of products or we feel like we're ungated in everything, we can focus on those products that people are selling with 0 to 1, 2, 3 reviews on their account because they are also not ungated. So try and focus on those newer sellers storefronts that you're coming across and see what they're selling because they were probably auto ungated to begin with, and this will help you build your account history. Now, this doesn't mean take your focus off of those bigger brands that you need those 10, 100, 200 unit ungates. You still want to open your account up for more variety as well. So I'll go ahead and add auto ungating down here. Now this is going to bring us over to months 3 through 6. So we'll come over here. Months 3 through 6. Now, this comes after your research and development phase. You've already got an Amazon account. You already started sourcing. You probably found multiple products and already sent them into Amazon. Now, depending on how much money you started with, you've probably already made a couple $1,000 by now. You've gotten the flow of consistently sourcing. You've gotten the flow of consistently sending in products. You're learning new strategies every day. You're really refining the craft. Now we can put all of these skills to work. So months 3 through 6 is really going to be our implementation of all of our skills we've learned so far. So our first thing is going to be source, because it is so important to keep sourcing products and getting those reps in. Keep using these tools every single day. Really get good at this. You need to be trying out different methods every single day. Start getting creative with this. Learn the flow of the market. Start putting your skills to work. Start building a sourcing/product psychology. Like right now, it's August. So my current sourcing strategy is what products are performing in December that are highly seasonal. I want to get my hands on them now so I can ship them in early and become first to sell all of those seasonal products, which in turn makes me the most money out of every other seller on that listing. Now, unless they get it at a cheaper price, but we're going to be so early to the market that that's not really going to matter. They're not going to beat us to the market. On top of this, start building a sourcing routine. Do you have a certain couple of sites you like to source at the beginning of each day? Do you check your A to A flips? Do you check for sales on Google? Do you use ChatGPT to identify new sales today that there weren't yesterday? Whatever it is, just be consistent with what you do so you can identify different variables in your techniques that need tweaked and refined so they're consistently feeding you more products with less time sourcing. Now, with the influx of products, since you're doing a ton of sourcing, you're probably doing a ton of purchasing as well. So it's going to get hard to reprice all your products. So I would consider a repricer. Yep, it's out of the box, but it doesn't really matter. So what does a repricer do? Basically, you set certain criteria, and this software is going to price your products up and down throughout the day based on the criteria you set. Now, why is this important? Well, let's say you sent in a product for $19.99 you wanted to sell it for. You sent in 100 units and you check your sales over the next 3 days and it's just not selling. You checked, it's already Prime eligible, you're good to go, and you just so happen to find out that someone is now undercutting you and they're at $19.95. So they are getting more of the buy box share because they are also Prime eligible. Now, what your repricer will do will follow them down and come back up so it doesn't tank. It'll consistently fluctuate your price up and down to maximize your chance at winning the buy box. Now, make sure you know exactly how you want your criteria set so you are not accidentally tanking these listings. The best repricer I have seen for a beginner's level budget is Go Aura, and for advanced users, I have used SellerSnap, and that has worked phenomenally. There's also Be Cool, but that's a very, very beginner repricer. I don't really recommend that. If you were to go for anything, I highly recommend Aura as your repricer. Now, when should you get a repricer? In my personal opinion, when you find yourself repricing a bunch of SKUs, I would say over 25 SKUs, or you're doing over 10 to 20K in revenue per month. Basically, whatever makes sense for you and your business, just make sure if you're only making $2,000 a month in profit, your repricer should not be $200 being a 10% expense. Try to keep your repricing expense to under 2 to 3% if you can, but if you need to spend that $100 to $200 a month in order to reprice 50, 60 SKUs, it definitely makes sense. The last thing you want to be doing is repricing all day. That's the lowest ROI task because a software can do it. And this is going to be something you continue to use as you scale, and it'll become more valuable the more SKUs you add to your inventory. So now, as we talk about ordering more products, sourcing a lot more, repricing these products, I keep speaking like we have a ton of products. Now, how do we handle all these products? So this brings us down to prep. So with prep, what are you doing with it? Are you prepping it out of your house? Are you prepping it out of your garage? Are you using a prep center? Do you have a warehouse? What does this look like? Are you able to handle $40,000 worth of merchandise in your garage? Are you able to do that in your basement? or are you going to need to outsource your prep and use a prep center? There's pros and cons to doing both. I highly recommend beginners that have a little extra room at their house or some space, do it out of your space. It helps you learn the process and be a little hands-on in the beginning. But as we move up and we're doing 20 to 30K months, you do not want to be tying your time up into packaging products. So the best way to go is either a prep center, which is a third-party logistics center that you ship your products to, you fill in some information for them, and they know exactly where to send it into your Amazon store. So you will never see the products, you will never touch the products, you will just pay them a small fee based on how many products you send in. We will factor the cost of the prep into SellerAmp so we don't have to do any extra work, and they handle all that for you. They handle prepping, shipping, receiving, throwing away all that cardboard from the product you ordered. You don't have to deal with any of that. Now, what are the pros to this? Well, if you want to go travel, so if you want to go to Greece, you want to go to India, you want to go to the Middle East, go vacation anywhere you want, it doesn't matter. You can basically work from anywhere because all you need is your laptop. You ship these products to your prep center, they ship them into Amazon, and it's done for you. Now, the only cons to a prep center would be that the costs can be quite a lot. Now, when you're sending 1,000 to 2,000 units and the prep center bills less than $3,000, it seems manageable because you're buying back all of your time and you're not doing any prep work, which means you can focus on sourcing more products, the most important part of the business. But as you start scaling and you're at 5,000 to 10,000 units a month, now that's where the costs of shipping your stuff to a prep center versus building a warehouse out, well, renting the warehouse, building the systems in a warehouse, hiring employees, that route might be a bit cheaper or a lot cheaper depending on where you're at, how big of a warehouse you need, and the systems it costs to run. But overall, I think a prep center is great for anyone scaling up to 200K a month. Just double check the numbers with your prep center, see if they'll negotiate based on how much you're sending in every single month, and build a relationship. They'll really be able to work with you and help you scale. They want to be your growth partner. Now, on the other hand, we can go the warehouse route, which could cost you $1,000 a month for rent. Plus you got electric, trash, internet, utilities, employees, heating, AC, if you even get AC. Now that can cost a lot too. It's a lot to manage, and some people just don't want to manage a warehouse at all, so they would rather go with the prep center route. Now, the most important thing to take here is with prep, you are basically buying back your time. So when you have those $3,000, $4,000 prep center bills, that is okay because you are no longer leveraging your time to pack products. We are leveraging our time on higher ROI tasks in order to make us more money. You can pay someone to prep your products anywhere from $15 to $20 an hour, depending on where you live, compared to leveraging your time at that same rate when you're finding these products and you can make over $200 an hour with proper sourcing techniques. So after being able to do that, this brings us back to our main goal of sourcing products. So we're eventually going to need some more eyes on the market, and this brings me down to hiring a VA. So what we are going to do is hire a VA. Now, we outsource our VAs from the Philippines using onlinejobs.ph. And basically why this is so good is because the rate of labor is cheaper over there. It's anywhere from $3 to $4 or $5 an hour. A general good base pay rate is about $3 an hour. Now, I know if you've never used work from overseas before, it may seem like a scam or we're ripping them off, but that is how much our dollar goes based on our economy, their economy. It's just a cheaper rate of labor over there. So we're able to pay them $3 an hour, which is actually a decent salary for them, and like $4 or $5 is an amazing salary over there, and they're very happy with it. And basically what they are going to do for you is source products for your Amazon business. So what you're going to do is pour all of your knowledge into this virtual assistant, and they are going to be able to find products in your sleep or when you're away. So if you're on vacation and you don't want to source, they'll be able to send you profitable products every single day. When you're sleeping, you're going to wake up to a list of profitable products, and you are only paying them $500 to $600 a month, and they'll be able to make you $2,000 to $5,000, if not more, per month. Now, it all depends on how much time you spend with your VAs and how much you train them, because they are not going to be able to outwork you at the end of the day because you are the sole trainer. You're the one with all the knowledge. You need to pour all of this into them, and then the rewards will pay once they're bringing more value to the table, and you keep continuing to master the craft and pass this information on to them. Now, the proper time to to hire a VA is when you're comfortable. Now, my personal recommendation, I hired my first VA when I did my first $25,000 in revenue month, but anything under that, I would still say you should focus on doing it yourself until you have some solid and sharp skills that you can pass on to the VA that would not be counterproductive to your business. So anywhere from 25 to 30K in revenue, you should start looking into hiring a VA. Now, this will also buy you back a little bit of time for product research and sourcing, but I still highly recommend getting your sourcing reps in until you are hitting those 50K plus months. I still personally don't even fully outsource sourcing. I have 4 virtual assistants and I still source every single day, minus the weekends, of course. That's relaxed time for me. I put in my weekend hours when I first started this business and it's finally great to have them back. Now, that doesn't mean I don't work on the weekends. I still do. It's just time to time. So to break down months 3 through 6, it's basically everything you have been learning and putting it to work. Source, ask questions to people, buy products, send more in, learn more about sourcing. Just get really good at this so you could teach anyone off the street how to do it at a basic level of understanding. The key framework to getting to your first 10K profit month is really just product research and sticking through with your ungates and sending in as much products as you can. So this brings us to months 6 plus. So we'll go 6 plus. Now, by the time you get to about month 6, you should have a good understanding of product research, buying products, sending them into Amazon. You should be making a couple $1,000 a month right now, depending on how much you started with. But month 6 and on is all about scaling and continuing to refine your skills. So refining your skills is never going to stop. This is a continuous game of knowledge, and that's ultimately going to get you to an end game result. But month 6 is all about scaling and systems. So I'm going to put systems right here. Now, what do I mean by systems? So that's exactly what we were just talking about, like a repricer, VAs. Now, these are just little things, but it's all part of one big system. We really want to look at our business from a bird's eye view and see how it's running on a piece of paper. So when we go in and we buy a product, what is the workflow in between from buying the product and getting to Amazon? And how can we make that process more efficient and more profitable? So if you're buying that product, it goes to the prep center, it's at the prep center within 3 days, and then it's to Amazon within another 3 days. What exactly does that look like? What are your timelines? Getting to know your timelines and your time frame on your business and how it operates is going to allow you to get good estimates on how much you're going to do. It'll let you know how much you can spend. It'll let you know the risks you can take. Really get intimate with the processes of your business. On top of that, systems means setting up spreadsheets. You should be tracking every single piece of data in this game. When you buy a product, that should be going into a spreadsheet. You should have your tracking numbers, order numbers, dates you ordered it, how many you ordered, down to how many got delivered at the warehouse or wherever you're getting it delivered to. Taking notes of what's damaged, what needs to be done with this order. Even tracking down your targeted sale price, because when you buy a product, you clearly have a target that you want to sell it for. For example, if you bought a product today for $10 and we wanted to sell it for $22, obviously we're not just going to be able to buy it and sell it for $22 today. There's going to be a gap of time to where we're going to have to wait. So many things could happen. The price could drop. The price could shoot up, hopefully. The listing could get deleted, God forbid, off of Amazon. But if we're tracking all of our pieces of data, we'll be able to go back into our business and see where things went wrong or see where things went really good and double down on that process. We're setting up systems to where we can save our invoices. So if we run into an account health issue and Amazon says, hey, where's your invoice? You're not digging for hours upon end for that invoice. You can just go into a sheet, click, and it's done. This will make us way less stress-free, and we don't have to worry about all these little nuances that Amazon might bring upon us. Now, all those tasks with spreadsheets and stuff sounds crazy, a lot of work and complicated. A lot of people don't want to do it, which brings me to hiring another VA. So you would hire an admin VA. Now, that's not like months 3 to 6 where we were hiring a product research VA. This VA is not going to be doing product research or arbitrage type work. This VA is going to be scraping emails for you, saving these invoices, inputting all this data into sheets, really keeping the back end of your business organized so you don't have to do it. Maybe putting your buy cost into your accounting software, doing some basic accounting for you, managing your cash flow. They're really focusing on these back end tasks that are just tedious, that nobody wants to do but need to get done. Remember, the more data that you track in this business is going to yield a better result. Now, on top top of this admin VA, what we can also have them do is basic supplier outreach. Now, I know we go into a lot of arbitrage, but supplier outreach is going to be great for scaling in the future. Now, it's not the best to have your VA do any outreach because you are the one that is going to be running the wholesale end of things. And in wholesale, the relationship is what gets you paid. But your VAs can find these suppliers in their free time. Let's say they don't have any data to do input. They can really focus on finding new wholesale suppliers, sending cold emails, and getting you points of contact so you can go back in and just get straight to the point with your point of contact, make a phone call, and secure a new account. Now, you don't have to do supplier outreach and you don't have to get in wholesale if you don't want to, but it's great for long-term and late game scalability. Now, since we're talking about VAs so much, what we can also do is build a VA team. So your VA that you were working for from months maybe 4 through 6 has got a little experience. They know how you work. You've been training them. You're still pouring into them. You can start teaching them some management responsibilities and have them take on a VA under them. So now you can hire another VA, promote your main VA that you initially hired, start building a relationship with a newer VA, and build a team. Build a teamwork environment, and now they can bounce ideas off of each other. Your top VA can start training your newest VA. Now, I wouldn't let them take full control until you have a good relationship and your VA is extremely good at what they do, but you can now pour into both of them and get 2 times the amount of work done and have a team work ethic going on. Run it like a real business. Let them have creative input. Get ideas from them. You never know what they're going to think, and they could add a ton of value onto your business. Now, with a bunch of VAs, getting into wholesale, mastering sourcing, we're doing a ton of stuff at month 6+. It's all about scaling. We're going to need something to fund this. Now, if you're like me and you only started with a couple grand and had no credit, we're going to need to leverage credit. Now, what this is going to do is going to allow you to scale astronomically. So you're going to be able to go from a crazy jump. So let's say you're doing 5K profit a month. All it takes is 1 credit card and you will be able to do 10K profit a month. That is the power of leveraging business credit. So under your LLC, you can get crazy cards like from Chase. They have the Business Inc. Unlimited, 0% interest for your first 12 months. So you can basically max this card out. You only have to make minimum payments and you can float that balance to help you scale even harder. Don't be afraid to leverage business credit. It is what everybody does when they run out of money. You don't want to be using your own money to run this whole business. There's no reason for you to take the risk of your hard-earned cash when you can use other people's money to do the same thing. Yes, there's risk involved, but it's the bank's money. It's not yours. And if you learn how to use it responsibly, they're going to continue to give you more money. They have great deals with interest rates, great bonuses such as the cashback. I know Capital One Spark has unlimited 2% cashback, which is crazy because in this business, you're going to be spending a lot of money. So you can really rack up credit card points, which brings me into my next point is credit card points. You get free travel. You get a lot of free hotels, Ubers, lounges at the airport. It's really important to start using credit when you can. Now, if you have a business card at a lower point in time and you're comfortable with using credit, go ahead and use it. Get comfortable with it. If you're comfortable with leveraging credit already, that's cool. That's exactly what you want to do anyways, because you don't want to leave any of these rewards on the table. For example, if you spend $120,000 in a year on product, which is only 10K a month, which means you would only be doing about 20K a month in sales, you would get an additional 1 to 2% back on that. So you could have $1,200 to over $2,000 just from making purchases. Now, American Express gives you the points, so you get free flights and all that good stuff just for doing your job. Now, when we take a look at this from an outside view, the hardest part is getting started. Months 1 through 3 is a lot of research, a lot of grindy tasks, such as ungating. You're gonna run into a lot of barriers, but that's okay because you are in the learning phase. It's totally normal to come across these issues. Everyone comes across them. Now, it's just a matter of if you're going to push through and overcome these issues with guidance or try to figure it out on your own and make it to the month 6 plus, or are you going to get stuck in months 2 and 3 just doing research, not being able to find products because you're not focusing on the right things at the right times? All of your time should be going towards product research and ungating during months 2 and 3, really learning the softwares, really becoming an expert at these things so it makes steps months 3 through 6 easy. Sourcing should no longer be a super hard task. You should be consistently getting more value every single month out of your skills. If you did $5,000 in revenue on month 3, you need to be doing more than that on month 4, as long as your cash flow allows for it. You shouldn't struggle to find products every single day because there's plenty of products out there. There's thousands of sellers doing this every single day. It's just a matter of, are you putting the right time into the right strategies so you know exactly what to do and you're improving on that product research process. Now, I'm not saying it's hard, but it's definitely not easy. It's just one of those things where you just need to do it over and over and over again so you get good at it and you can build a skill that can pay you hundreds of dollars, if not thousands of dollars an hour. And then when you put all this information to use and you're past month 6, you should easily be ripping over $30,000 to $50,000 in revenue every single month, which is over $6,000 profit on the low end. Now, of course, this is if capital and your cash flow allows it, because you're going to run into the same issues I did. We all started from the same place. You're not going to have the money to buy more products once you get good at sourcing. You're going to have to go for these lines of credit. And if you don't have a good credit score like I did, I started Amazon with a 615. I had to slowly build my credit back up so I could get approved for this funding and continue to scale. I've seen people go over 100K months in their first 6 to 8 months at Amazon. It doesn't matter how long it takes you though. This is your journey. You do not need to compare it to anyone else's. As long as you're staying consistent, putting the work in and learning something every single day, becoming 1% better, you will scale. It's not a rush. It's not a race. It's you versus you at the end of the day. All right, guys. So if you're serious about building an Amazon FBA business that actually makes real money and you want me personally helping you out step by step, I've opened up a couple of spots in my private one-on-one mentorship group. Now, this isn't for everyone. I only work with people who are committed to putting in the work. Now, if that sounds like you, check the link in the description to apply to see if you're a good fit. And if you're not ready for that yet, no problem. Make sure you subscribe and check out my other videos I have on my channel. I've got multiple free Amazon FBA strategies to help you grow and scale. So until then, I'll see you guys next time.